Good morning. We're going to quickly get in place. Our students are going to be joining us. My name is Melissa Dagley. I am the Executive Director for the Center for Initiatives in STEM here at the university. And as Dr. Georgopoulos mentioned, I coordinate, direct a number of our undergraduate student success programs, and I have the pleasure of working with many of these students. And so we're really thrilled that they came out to join us this afternoon. And I am going to move to my designated spot here. Tilt just a little here so I can see them or sit on the edge of my chair. So we're going to start out today with a few introductions, and then I have a couple of little canned questions that we're going to ask, and then we're going to open the floor to you. So you need to be thinking real hard about any of these questions that you may have for the students that you would like them to answer over the next hour. Okay? So I'm going to start right here. With Lubinsky, and I'm going to let him introduce himself, tell you a little bit about himself, where he's from, what his major is, some of those sorts of things, and then we'll just head down the line.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Lubinsky Bain. I'm a fourth-year aerospace engineering student, also minoring in math. Originally from Miami. I chose to be here today. It's really nice to see all the faces. I hope you guys enjoy.
Hello everyone, my name is Abby Rains. I'm a fourth-year civil engineering student here at UCF. I am from Orlando, pretty much born and raised here, so I know everything there is to know about the city. On campus at UCF, I'm involved in the Excel Compass program as a mentor, and I'm also the president of the American Society of Civil Engineers.
Hi everyone, I'm Meryl Waratmo. I am a senior materials science and engineering major with a minor in chemistry. I am an undergraduate researcher and the president of Materials Advantage. I'm also originally from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Hello everyone, my name is Gila Ramos. My pronouns are they, she. I'm currently a senior in computer science with a minor in cognitive science. You'll find me involved in a variety of things, both in the college and outside of the college. So in the college, I'm involved in research with the Wearable Engineering and Assistive Robotics Lab, as well as the vice president of Nighthacks, which is a software engineering student organization. Outside of the campus, outside of the college, you'll see me in other organizations such as the President's Leadership Council and Active Minds. And I'm very happy to be here and answer your questions.
Hi, my name is Kristen Ling. I'm a senior in electrical engineering with a specialization in radio frequency at the campus. Oh, I'm a senior, if I didn't say that. On the campus, I'm an undergraduate researcher, and I've also participated in multiple internships around the area. I was born and raised in Merritt Island, which is about an hour from here.
Hey, good morning, everyone. My name is Shane Van Horn. I'm a senior industrial engineering, minor in engineering leadership. Throughout my time here at UCF, I have been involved in multiple internships. Like Dr. G said earlier, we have the Lockheed Martin College Work Experience program, so I was one of the students who's gone through that. Also in my time, I'm the student director of the Engineering Leadership and Innovation Institute. It's a multidisciplinary organization that focuses on making students as employable as possible. And yeah, you guys should come to UCF.
Thank you very much. So now that you know a little bit about them, we're going to hear from them about kind of why they decided to choose UCF, some of the things, in addition to what they've already said, that they're involved in on campus, and then we'll talk about a little advice that they would be giving you as seniors coming into the university. So when you applied to UCF, you had a lot of choices of where you could go. And so tell us why you chose UCF. And Shane, I'm going to start with you, if that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not sure how much Dr. G got into it, but just look at everyone around us. There's no school in a better position with all these companies around us for you guys to get involved in. I advise all of you to, when you're done here, go drive through Research Park, look at every single company in there. You go 40 minutes west, you have the theme parks. You go 40 minutes east, you have the Space Coast. There are so many opportunities here for students. And then, in a metropolitan campus like this, there's so much to do. On an off day, you don't have class, you can go to SeaWorld, you can go to Universal. We have a great football team. Big 12's coming. There's so much to do here at UCF, and it just felt like the perfect place to be at the perfect time.
Okay. How about Abby? You want to?
Yeah, so my long story short reason of why I came to UCF, as I said before, I am from Orlando, so being close to my family was really important to me, but I kind of also looked out, a lot of what Shane said is that there's just the industry here is booming in Orlando. There's so many job opportunities, not only for civil engineering myself, but for all engineering here. And a lot of the reasons he said, you know, the theme parks are closed, there's lots of fun things you can do in Orlando. It allows you to be able to work and go to school at the same time. A lot of students at other schools don't have that opportunity because of their location. So that was also a really big deal for me as well.
Yep. Okay. Lou, you want to?
Sure. Everyone who knows me personally, since I was this tall, I wanted to be a commercial airline pilot. Once it was time to go to school, I realized how expensive it is to fly, and so aerospace engineering quickly became a second option. And as Shane and Dr. G have touched on, there's so much opportunity here. Central Florida is so rich with aerospace options, and I can't think of a better university. And diversity also is the biggest reason, I think, for coming to the university. If you guys look at each other, so many different faces from so many different backgrounds. Despite the university being the largest university in Florida, I've never felt alone here, and honestly, this university still reminds me of home.
Thank you. Okay. So it's kind of a second parter to this question. We heard why you came to UCF, but tell us why, maybe one or two reasons why the students that are here with us today as current seniors, why they should choose UCF. And so, Gila, do you want to start with that one?
Yeah, so something I like to share about my story coming to UCF is actually that UCF was my last choice, so quite opposite the rest of the panel. But what I would like to say is that should I go back as a senior in high school, I would redo that decision, and UCF would be my first choice. I don't regret coming here, and part of the reason why is because I was very nervous about my future. I'm a Stokes Scholar with the National Security Agency, which means that I have a defined career path that I can't move from, which is in cybersecurity. But I have a lot of passions outside of that. And UCF is a place to explore all your passions, even if it's outside of your major. So for me, it's being able to be part of the Taekwondo club at UCF, which is under our sport clubs at the RWC, our Recreation Wellness Center. And that's where I found most of my friends and people that I consider to be my family here at UCF. As Lou mentioned earlier, diversity, equity, inclusion. There is no better campus to be on in Florida that will care about you and your identity. You'll feel safe and you'll feel welcome, because being your authentic self here at UCF is what's prioritized and what is valued. That's why lots of the panelists are here today, because we have our authentic selves and we're being valued for that. So I think if you care about wanting to feel welcome, wanting to have a student culture that cares about you and that will always draw you in, like going to a football game. And even if you're not a fan of football, like I was not when I first came, it's very addictive almost, just being in the bounce house and getting to bounce with everyone. It's such an addictive culture that you'll want to stay here. So.
Luke, you want to?
Yeah. Speaking specifically for our College of Engineering and Computer Science, we're taught at such a high level of professionalism, entry-level design projects. I believe Dr. G might have touched on it. The Great Naval Orange Race. As freshmen, you guys get to design boats and produce a physical product. And so transforming so quickly from a high school student into an engineer over time, I've learned so much. And I think that's one of the biggest things that I can give you guys coming out of the College of Engineering and Computer Science. You guys will graduate as professionals ready to take on industry.
Thank you. Does anyone else want to tackle this one? If not, that's okay. Okay, I'm going to stop real quick and just from what we have, are there any questions from the floor at this moment? Okay, right here. Do you intend to pursue graduate degrees?
Yeah, I'm planning on continuing with a Ph.D. here at UCF, actually. Like I said, my specialization is radio frequency, and that specialization often requires master's or Ph.D. degrees because it's very low level. It's things like designing antennas and wireless components.
I'm also going to be pursuing my Ph.D. degree. Just got admitted to UMD, woohoo! So I'll be doing that in the fall in material science and engineering. I'll be studying something called electrets, which are effectively, you know what a magnet is? Y'all know what magnets are. Permanent source of magnetism, it's like a permanent source of charge, but like in a polymer, and it's really interesting, so.
I want to say I'm not planning to attend graduate school, but I know I've done a lot of research into the accelerated bachelor's to master's program that we have at UCF, and I'm not sure what all majors it's included in. I know a good amount of engineering, but I know civil specifically is part of that. And basically, it's an accelerated program, as it sounds, from your bachelor's to get your master's degree in less than 4 years. So it's intended to get your master's, and they kind of double up on courses for you. So you take graduate level courses that count towards your master's degree, but also counts towards your bachelor's as well. And so I did really want to do it, but personal reasons I decided not to. But if you're looking for graduate school, I think that's a good option.
It's a great opportunity. Sheila?
And then I'm also planning to apply for graduate school, but not right away. I'm actually aiming to do the Rhodes and Cambridge Scholarship, which takes you to the UK. And we have offices such as the Office of Prestigious Awards that help students look for programs both in and outside of the college and outside of even the States. And we'll be in computational cognitive science.
Excellent, thank you. There was another question. Yes, sir. So do we find balancing work life or social life and workload, a balance there?
That's a good question. I mean, you're only in college once, so you want to make the most of your experience, but you're in college, you have to work. So I'd say, you know, the people you surround yourself with kind of reflect who you are. And if you're surrounding yourself with people who are motivated and want to, excel just as much as you do, and you find that study group, you find that group of people, then you're good. I found that day one, walking into my intro to engineering class, I'm still buddies with those guys to this day. They're all different majors and stuff like that, but we have overlapping classes, so make it a priority, but also it's important to schedule that downtime so you can go to a football game, so you can enjoy everything else on campus. UCF makes it very possible to do both and succeed at the same time.
To piggyback on what Shane mentioned, I actually met a couple friends during my freshman orientation event, and those guys are my best friends still today. On the weekends, we play guitar together, we go to the football games together, and so it's really up to you, I think, to find that sweet spot of your college to work-life balance. Engineering is tough, and you do have to work. Yep. In the end, it's really important to find some downtime to disconnect.
And I think, the Intro to Engineering course has been mentioned a couple of times. There's also concepts in computing for our computer science students. And these are great ways to, these are classes you're going to be taking in your first semester, and you're going to meet a lot of people in your major, and they are going to become your friends for life. I can speak to my own experiences from long, long ago. But you have to, making sure that maybe some of those organizations and things that you participate in are related to your academics, I think helps that process. And so, Eli Squared, being part of Excel Compass, joining different organizations based on your major, Society for Mechanical Engineering, Civil Engineering we mentioned, IEEE, which is electrical engineering, that helps in being able to balance the social and the work, because again, you're surrounding yourself with people who are similar to yourself and moving towards the same goals. So, okay, so I'm going to jump to another question quickly here. You've been at UCF for a while. I think we heard that every one of you are like juniors and seniors. So if you would, describe some of your important, maybe actually unique experiences, especially those that do relate to your major. And so, Meryl, can we start with you?
So, unique opportunities at UCF. I think my time here I could not have gotten this experience anywhere else. So I came to UCF fall 2018, and my first semester, I was able to get involved with undergraduate research. It was literally as easy as Googling my professor beforehand, seeing what he did. It was nanoscience at the time, and I was like, I want to talk to him about this. And so I went to his office hours and inquired on what he was doing and if he was, maybe had some available positions for me, and he did. And that was one of the most fruitful experiences, like professionally, academically, because research really trains you to write well and to communicate effectively, technically. And from that, I was able to get 3 papers published in peer-reviewed journals, which, over the course of a Ph.D., you're supposed to get 3 papers published, and I was an undergraduate, junior, senior. I'm a super senior now, so I have no idea anymore. But it was really important for me, and I think having that experience is what propelled me to the success I have now. I had an internship at Savannah River National Laboratory that I would not have been able to get without this opportunity. And of course, we just talked about graduate school. Like, the doors, they have been opened. So, yes.
Okay, how about Kristen?
I actually had sort of a similar experience with undergraduate research. In the very beginning of my me entering UCF, I actually was interested in learning about acoustics. And that's a very, very rare specialization. But UCF is so large that you're going to have a research in almost everything. So I just Googled UCF acoustics. I found a lab, and I emailed the professor, and he took me in. Since then, I've also done I've had a position as an undergraduate learning assistant at the college as well, and both of those positions through the college, I think, gave me a really good jump start on my resume to open the doors for a lot of internships, and that especially is really good to do in your undergraduate career, because when you graduate, you're going to end up getting a job and probably stick with it for a couple of years. So I think that it's also really important to try to get a few internships, explore the different fields, different areas of work, like government work, defense work, industry. There's so many different positions you could get with internships. So the college helped me with getting a start into those kinds of positions.
Okay, Lou.
So I actually made history here at UCF recently by being the first UCF student to be honored the Matthew Isakowitz Fellowship Program, which is an internship, mentorship, and network opportunity for upper-level undergrad and graduate students. The year prior, I was awarded the Patty Grace Smith Fellowship Program, which is the same thing, but for freshman and sophomore African-American students. As a result of those 2 fellowships, I am also the College of Engineering and Computer Science's first student to receive 2 fellowships within his attendance. Those 2 fellowships allowed me to get my first 2 internship opportunities, the first being in Seattle, Washington, working for a satellite company called Black Sky. I was responsible for creating a power model, which essentially feeds in information about a certain task that we want to do, and we tell the satellite, can we do it or not? And my second internship opportunity was at Astra, which is a small launch company, a rocket company, again as a systems engineering intern. The first project I'm still under NDA about, but the second one, I was designing a heat exchanger, which essentially works like the radiator of your car, just gas mixtures and heat transfer to pressurize our tanks. On campus, I've been an Excel learning, calculus learning assistant, where I helped instruct with the professor some of the incoming freshmen to learn Calc 1, and I currently serve as the Tau Beta Pi Professional Development Chair. Although it is a big honor to be the first UCF student to receive the awards that I've received, essentially that doesn't matter to me. What matters more is being able to pass the torch down, and so that's some of the work that I do as a Professional Development Chair. Teaching some of the incoming students how to build their resumes, how to speak in interviews, and how to connect with professionals.
Thank you. I was going to say, Sheila or Abby or Kristen, anyone you want to?
So I was also involved in a lot of research. I actually started research since high school, being able to be part of the International Science and Engineering Fair, and being able to carry on these experiences moving forward into college. Like, research was the first thing I was looking for. I'm a member of the Burnett Honors College, and through opportunities advertised through them, I first started my research with the Institute of Simulation and Training in the Cognitive Science Department. And then from there, I moved forward to working up till now with the Wearable Engineering and Assistive Robotics Lab. I've been able to work on a lot of different projects since then, working with virtual reality and how to simulate force feedback. So the idea that if you're in a virtual reality simulation, that you can actually feel forces that you're experiencing. Like, if I walk into a wall, then I literally can't move beyond where I'm currently standing. And besides that, I also work on multimodal systems, so working with biomechanics sensors. And my honors undergraduate thesis, I focus on developing a wearable device to predict anxiety attacks and monitor anxiety disorders. All this in mind, the research that I've been able to do, even though it focuses on various different topics from mental health to just virtual reality applications, has helped me to exceed in my opportunities at the National Security Agency, where I also do a lot of research in just a general research directorate and analysis and mitigations. I didn't expect that my expertise in other areas would actually help me in cybersecurity. And because of that, I've been able to be recognized as one of the youngest to receive Recognizing Our Best Award in Analysis and Mitigations and Demonstrating Initiative Award. And overall, I think it's just amazing to see research at UCF, because we are one of the top divisions in the state for research, and there's no better place to explore whatever you're passionate about. Beyond that, I would say being part of Night Hacks is also a unique opportunity. We host our university's hackathon, which is usually a 24 to 36 hour competition where students will just hack away and make software, make something appear out of nothing. And it's amazing because students will be able to group together, find friends that they didn't even talk to before, come up with ideas, and be able to see them come into life. And the projects that our students make can also be just as various as however you can imagine. Wherever you can imagine, you can build it. And that's what a hackathon is, and I love being able to help organize those types of events through Night Hacks.
Thank you. Anyone else? Abby?
So like Lou, I also was in the Excel program, but I ended up changing my major my first year. So I really should have been in the sister program, Compass. And I got an email in January, my second semester, that said, if you're interested in being a mentor for the program, apply here. And I said, absolutely yes. I don't want the same thing that happened to me to happen to anybody else coming into school here. So I applied, I got the job as a Compass mentor, and like Lou said, it was more about giving back to the students. And so I was so happy to be able to have the opportunity to tell other students, you know, and help them with their career exploration in ways that I had to, that I didn't know that I should have done. And despite me being up here on this panel, you know, I was very shy my first year at college. I did not have any friends from high school that came here. It was very difficult for me to find friends that I connected with because, you know, like I said, I changed my major. So the people I was surrounded with, I didn't really connect with. And so it really helped me boost my confidence as a major. And I'm still with the program as a mentor today. And, you know, I mentioned earlier, I'm president of the biggest civil engineering club on campus. You know, we have over 100 members. And so that confidence, that's what started that confidence journey for me. And it's gotten me all my leadership positions now. And then without that, I would have never got my internships. So I guess Compass is really what started it all for me here at UCF.
Thank you. Anyone else? Shane, do you want to say anything, or were we good? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So my time here at UCF, I've held 3 internships. My first one, I was a project manager intern with NextEra Energy. After that, you know, as I spoke on before, the Lockheed Martin College Work Experience Program. I'd say that was one of the coolest opportunities I had here at UCF, was to be able to go to class and also hold a position at the same time. This program really is set up for student success. If I ever had a test some week, my manager's like, all right, school's first, you know, you take care of what you got to do. And then I always came back, Lockheed Martin, I delivered whatever I needed to deliver. That program, you have to work a minimum of like 15 hours a week and then a maximum of 25. They are extremely flexible with however you need to work. You work when you work in between your classes. And then after that, I had an internship with Northrop Grumman this past summer in St. Augustine, and then that's where I'll be going after I graduate this semester.
Congratulations. Okay. I'm going to go back out to the audience again for questions. Anyone? Okay, I'm going to go here and then here.
I kind of have two. How many of you personally, like as a student, participated in Excel?
Okay, so the question was how many of the individuals up here participated in Excel personally?
Like not as a mentor, but like using it as a student.
Yeah.
And what about like the honors college, like Burnett Honors College?
And I will tell you that with those two programs, they can overlap. We don't here, but they can overlap. You can do both of those programs together. Okay? Okay, yes.
And I had a question for Gila. Was there, for the computer science, was there any experience that you feel you had to have before you came to the computer science college?
Okay, so the question is for Gila, if there was any experience you felt like you needed to have before starting in computer science here at UCF.
I don't think so, actually. I was actually very insecure coming into computer science. The high school that I came from, even though I'm very proud to be alumni from that high school, didn't support me in computer science. So everything was self-taught for myself, whether in my research. I was the only student in my class to pursue AP Computer Science A, but that was because I was doing it through Florida Virtual School. So I felt that I had the least amount of experience when I came into my first Intro to C class, and hearing all of my peers around me who have had already years of coding experience, having been able to either compete or have cybersecurity certificates that I didn't even know existed just because those resources weren't available in my high school at the time. I was able to pick everything up quickly because I was able to surround myself with a community of students that was willing to support me and study just alongside me. Professors were really nice, and just going to their office hours whenever I felt like I was struggling and didn't understand a concept. I don't think there was any experience that I needed to have beyond just making sure I'm developing my solid skills, like my technical skills in math and science, things that are expected out of all of us as engineering and computer science majors. But beyond that, I don't think when you're in the computer science program, you don't need to have coding experience to eventually develop a passion for it.
And we have created, there's a concepts in computing class, and so if someone doesn't have prior experience, they can start in that class. For students that have experience, they can skip over that class. And so it creates a nice pathway in for students who have no prior experience, if needed. Okay. Let me go back here in the back.
Sorry, I kind of have a long question, but are any of you guys like secured with an internship or job for after you get out of college? I know Shane, you were talking about like internships. Were you happy with the environment in it? How is it different from your classroom experience?
Okay, so to repeat their question, do any of you have currently internships secured and or positions secured beyond graduation?
Yeah, so I'll touch on that question. So how are internships different than the classroom? They are very different. You take what you learn in the classroom, but then you have to apply it in the real world, and it's not always one-to-one. And you're definitely learning a lot on the job. And I've had positive experiences in all my internships. I mean, and then from everyone I've heard from, you walk in, and the second you walk in, everyone embraces you. They want you to learn. Companies love interns because they can kind of mold them in how they want their people to think. I mean, it was very successful for me. And then this past summer, during my internship, Northrop Grumman ended up saying, "Hey, you're doing a great job. We want you to come back after graduation and work here full time." And I love the culture. I love the people there. I love the product we were working on. I love St. Augustine. And so it made sense.
Yeah, I'll add to that. I'm not graduating till December, but I do have a job in place for me as long as I want to take it. I've been fortunate enough to have 3 internships during my time at UCF. The current place I work at, I've been at since last year in May. And I was just recently told by my project manager there, you have a spot here after graduation if you choose. And they understand, especially in civil, that the industry is crazy right now, and there's going to be a lot of people looking to take students like me who are so involved and have all that experience. And you know, kind of what Shane was saying, it's very different from classroom, you know, especially in civil. A lot of what you do on the job is not learned in the classroom. I think you learn how to think in college more than you use those technical skills day to day in the job. But yeah, that's what I would say about that. You wanna add?
To touch on the second piece of the question, a professional experience is different from the classroom environment. The classroom will teach you the theoretics, all the equations that drive the problems that you'll be solving in industry. However, when you get to work and you're actually touching physical products, you're using those equations that you learn in the classroom. And so it's really important to couple your undergraduate experience with an internship experience. I think that'll make you a well-rounded student as a whole.
And I think that's a good point that Lou touches on, is that, you know, in the classroom, you are going to be learning some of the theoretical pieces behind that. And so you have to know that coming in. Many of you have been involved in programs where it's very hands-on, maybe robotics in high school, and you're very hands-on in doing things, and you're going to have those same hands-on experiences in the classroom, but you also have to learn and understand how things are built, how things are designed, because you're going to be the one doing that in the future. And so that's really important that you understand there's a balance between those two things. And I think, Lua, thank you. That was a good point. Other questions? Okay, I'm going to go over here.
Can you talk a little bit about how accessible your professors are, and then maybe how they've influenced or maybe inspired your journey?
Okay, so a question about how accessible the faculty are and how they may have influenced your journey.
Good start. It's a university course, and so the classes are big. And I would say your professors are as accessible as you make them. And so office hours, they post them throughout the semester. But from day one, you know when your professor is going to be available. And if that time that your professor is available doesn't work, it's a simple email and say, hey, professor, let's meet on this time. And most professors will be able to work that out.
For me, my professors have been absolutely instrumental in my success, not even at the classroom level, but as mentors. So as I mentioned about my research position, you know, he was able to mentor me when I was a chemistry major at a time. You know, what do I want to do with my life? What are the steps I need to take to ensure my success in the future? Because for me, who may or may not want to go into academia in the future, you have to start as early as possible. Coming forward, I had another research mentor, and you know, they were able to write me, you know, beautiful letters of recommendation. You know, please, I am begging you, if you take one thing out of this presentation, it's to talk to your professors. They most likely, I'm not going to say all, they do want to interact with you, and they want to be able to help you. So please utilize their resources, whether it be their professional connections. The amount of networking I've done, insane through my professors. So yes.
I think that it really varies professor to professor, especially in the larger courses like, I don't know, calculus, physics. Those are going to be very large courses that many majors are taking. So they might be a bit harder to reach sometimes if a lot of students are trying to talk to them at once. But I will say that some of the professors, especially around junior, senior year, they're very, very passionate about what they do. They really want to help the students. There have definitely been nights where I'm up at like 1 a.m. like writing them an email like, oh my gosh, please help me with this. And then they reply at like 5 minutes later, and I'm like, why are you up? I know why I'm up. So it really depends on the professor, but I know that every time I've reached out to the professors and they see the email, they're always eager to help.
Yeah, and then sometimes if those professors, like Kristen was saying, in like, you know, Calc 1, Calc 2, we're in a room this big, there's this many kids who have the same question. Some of these courses have GTAs, graduate teaching assistants, TAs, who are people who have taken the classes, done well. We have SI, supplemental instruction, ULAs. All of these people are in this class to help students succeed. So if you can't make professor's office hours, you can make the GTA's office hours. If you can't make his office hours, you can go to the TA's office hours. There are so many tools here to help you guys succeed in your courses and also outside the courses as well.
Yeah, I guess to touch more on like professors that have inspired me, I think, again, the culture of caring is just as important. I've gone through a lot of hardship throughout the past 4 years. One of the things was that in my junior year, I ended up tearing my ACL in my knee. And so I couldn't come to class, and it jeopardized being able to graduate on time. And I'm very thankful for the professors I had in my junior year, because even though that meant that I would have to step away from campus right after COVID year happened, right after we had to do isolation, the professors that were willing to work with me and be able to accommodate through virtual classes really meant the most, because it was hard to picture myself finishing on time without those professors' help to accommodate my needs. Because it's very hard to explain the idea of like, I literally can't walk to class. How do I go to class? How do I still do your assignments? How do I meet with groups if it's a group project when I can't do those things like someone else could? And then at the same time, in research, my best mentor has probably been my research lab director, Dr. Park. And he just does these small things, because I think we forget sometimes that our professors were students before and they went through the same experiences that we had. So just one thing that he did in the lab, for example, was that one day he suddenly brought in like 2 couches, 2 blankets, and pillows. And we were like, why are these in the lab? There's like barely any space for anything here. And he's like, well, I remember back in the day that I would spend way too many late nights and I'd end up falling asleep at my desk. And I know some of you guys still sleep at your desk when you're here. So rather than that, I'd rather you be comfortable. And if you're gonna stay in the lab, here's a couch, use the couch. But that meant a lot to know that he was actively just seeking out our well-being and making sure that we were okay.
Great. And they talked about some of a couple of people mentioned the larger classes, and that's one of the things that the Excel, Honors, Lead Scholars, some of these programs that you can join as an incoming first-year student are so important, because they create these smaller learning communities that you can be a part of and kind of take some of those larger classes and put them on a smaller scale. So we had other questions. Was there a question right here? Yes. What is the most interesting class you've taken?
So I'll touch on that. I'm not a rocket scientist like some of the people up here on this panel who are actually studying rocket science. I mean, as industrial engineering, it's kind of a bit more business engineering. So my sophomore year, I took a class with a professor called Mark Calabrese. It was engineering economics and cost analysis. And it was understanding how engineering makes money, because at the end of the day, that's what industry is. And if you can grasp that concept as an engineer, I mean, it takes you places. So for me, that was my most interesting class.
For me, like I said, I'm specializing in radio frequency, and so I took an intro to microwave engineering, which is very similar to radio frequency. Sometimes they're used interchangeably, and that course basically, I loved it so much that I decided to specialize in it and become a Ph.D. student for it. So I think it was a really great course, and the current internship I'm in is for radio frequency, and like I said, that industry prefers people with master's and PhD degrees, but because of the quality of instruction in that class, I learned so much from it that I did really well in the technical interview and they took me in. So I think that's one of the really important things you should know about engineering, is that when you get into an interview, they're not looking necessarily for like, do you check these boxes for your degrees and your courses? They want to know what you actually know. So even though I only took one course in radio frequency, I understood it well enough that I was able to get a position in it because I really tried hard in that class. So you should definitely know that when you get into some of your engineering courses.
As a future rocket scientist, my favorite course is the last course that I'm taking now. I believe it's called Aerothermal Design of Propulsion Systems. It's our propulsion course, and I'm learning how to design engines both for rockets and aircraft, and so things, shock waves, calculating the temperature of a flame coming out the back of the engine. Super interesting stuff. And effectively, when I'm in interview settings, those are some of the questions that they're asking me. It's a culmination of all the courses that I've learned throughout my history here. So fluid dynamics comes into play, chemistry comes into play, and you see all the gas mixtures, everything's happening inside of an engine.
Anyone else? We can go ahead. Okay, another question. Let's go to the back of the room. How do students get into internships?
I could start.
Okay.
So I would say the first internship is very hard to get, especially if your resume is not built up yet. So one, you should don't underestimate networking. That's how I got my first internship. If you're just applying on the computer and your resume is not very strong yet, it's really, really hard to stand out because you're just a piece of paper when you apply on the computer. But if you try to network, sometimes people will see you and they'll see your work ethic, even if you don't have the resume to back it up yet. And, you know, they might help you with getting an internship. But if you don't have any connections and you don't have a strong resume yet, I really recommend undergraduate research because it's very easy to get into usually since it's volunteer-based. And I don't think it should be seen as extra work or just something to build a resume. Like I said, with my first undergraduate research, I wanted to learn about acoustics. So when I went in there, I saw it as an opportunity to learn about a specialization that it's really hard to learn about outside of a college university like this. Like, university should be seen as an opportunity to learn, like, you know, if you want to learn about AI, just go to an AI research. That's all you have to do. And it's going to build your resume, and you're going to learn, and you're going to get technical applications of the things you learn in class as well.
So the internship I mentioned earlier that I've been in since last May, I actually got through being in ASCE, the club on campus. My first semester I joined, they were posting a bunch of scholarship applications, and I said, free money sounds wonderful. I'm definitely going to apply for this. I ended up winning the scholarship, and all the people who win got the option to attend a luncheon where they award you the big giant check. And there is where I did a lot of networking, you know, as was mentioned, and I met, I don't even know how many people. I got tons of business cards, and I sent out a lot of emails, and I said, hey, I'm looking for an internship. Please let me know if you have any positions available. And 4 of them reached back out to me and said, here's an application, please send your resume. And that's how I got my internship. So you know, joining clubs, networking is a really big thing. And then UCF also does career fairs. So I know specifically for civil, environmental, construction engineering, they do their own, but they also do like a CECS for all engineering computer science as well. And a lot of people, I mean, I wasn't one of them, but I know a lot of people, some of my best friends have gone to those and gotten internships out of it. And even if you go the first time and nothing happens, at least they know your name, they know your face, and you want to keep going because they will remember you, and they want to see that you really want it, you have passion, and you have dedication for getting that internship.
I just have a short quip about my internship experience at Savannah River National Laboratory. I initially just had a virtual career fair, so I didn't have the luxury of them getting to look at my face or my voice or my personality. So it was just a chat box, but I talked to my advisor after I had achieved the position, like, why did you pick me out of all the people that you interviewed? And she said, it's because you sent me an email after we talked at that career fair, because that was what showed your drive and passion. An email about chemistry was what got me a position at an internship. So sometimes it's really those little details that make or break you.
Okay, let's jump to. So the question is, does UCF provide any guidance for writing resumes and how to participate in these events?
There is so much guidance. Like any professional organization that you join, Hi, I'm a part of Engineering Leadership Innovation Institute. It's Eli Squared for short. I'm just going to go with Eli Squared for now. That's really what we focus on is resume workshops, elevator pitch competitions, stuff like that. ASCE, American Society of Civil Engineers, ASME, AIAA. Every single one of those professional organizations has that. We also have career services. You can walk in, make an appointment with someone. They'll walk you through how to make a resume. You can have mock interviews with them. We have all the internship fairs, career fairs. The dean's office is putting on like a career kickoff mixture next week. There's always opportunities for students to learn how to better professionally develop themselves.
I did not use some of those resources, unfortunately. I know people who have, and I know that they're extremely useful, but I was just going to add on and say another way to become better at interviews is just practice. I know that the first career fair I went to, I was dreading it. I did not want to go and talk to a bunch of strangers and try to fake brag about myself, right? But my friend convinced me, and I just kind of forced myself to try the interview. I went to as many interviews as I possibly could, and I think that interviewing is a skill that you need to build. So now if I actually interview with a company I really want, I think I have a better skill set now that I've done so many of them rather than if I only did a couple of interviews for the ones I really wanted.
Finally, to drive home the point that Shane's making, the professional clubs and organizations have students in your class, probably the same age, teaching you the same stuff. You'll find students like me passing on the torch from some of the things that I've learned. But career services is big. We just had a career fair, I think 2 weeks ago, maybe, and the university brings the recruiters to you. And so recruiters from Northrop Grumman, Lockheed Martin, L3 Harris, were all there willing to speak with the students. And so in preparation before that, I went to career services, I got the mock interview, I had a resume critiqued, and so by the time the career fair came, I was prepared with my elevator pitch, and so those are some of the opportunities I got.
We also have an experiential learning office that helps a lot with the internship process. Other questions? I'm going to go back here and then over here, so back in the back. So were any of you in the Honors College?
Yeah, I was a part of the Honors College coming into my first year. It was very helpful. Like the first year you take this class called Honors Symposium, and that's where I met a lot of my best friends to this day. It's like you have a big auditorium-like class at first, and then you break off into small groups, and it really helped facilitate meeting new people who are like-minded. And then also the small honors classes that really came in handy when I nearly failed out of Honors Linear Circuits 1. So again, professors and small class sizes, it goes crazy.
I'm also a member of the Honors College. I also did Honors Symposium. That's also another way that you get to work on your resume interview. Literally one of the assignments is to do a resume and have it be reviewed by career services. Then they'll have another assignment to practice an elevator pitch. So how do you introduce yourselves to someone you're networking with? So the Honors College in general has a lot of resources to develop professionally yourself, and as well as academically, like the small honors classes. So being able to take a lot of intro classes for computer science in the honors section was more helpful because I was able to talk more directly with professors and be able to go to their office hours specifically for honors sections. Interdisciplinary seminars, which is also a requirement that we have to do, allow you to explore the intersection between your major and other topics. So one of the classes that I like taking was Intro to Cyber Warfare, and learning more of the historical side of computer science and then how it applies in the cybersecurity realm was really important later on for my career. And like you said, it's just a wonderful community to be a part of. You'll find a lot of friends there, and they also host a lot of events in order for you to feel comfortable while you're with them.
Okay. So the question is about off-campus and on-campus housing, and who lives where and lived where, and kind of what are the differences between on-campus and off-campus and why you chose to either stay on or leave.
So my freshman year, I lived on campus in Lake Claire, so you know, the older ones, but it was great. You know, I could get up 5 minutes before class and walk to it. You know, I don't advise that, but being on campus, there's definitely a really great thing about it because there's always something going on campus, so you can just hop out and walk 10 minutes and you're there. And then I currently live off campus at a place called The Verge. It's like right across the street. A lot of these off-campus apartment complexes have shuttles that run to the campus, and there's an app called like Double Map or something like that, and it'll show you when your bus is going to be here, and there's usually 2 buses per route, one it's going to pick you up, one it's going to drop you off. So that's been a really helpful system to get to campus. I don't feel that I need a car living off campus because they have those shuttles available at our disposal.
I also lived on campus my freshman year at the Libra community. I think that experience was also great. Libra, I believe, is all freshman housing, and so you're not mixed in with the seniors or anything like that. And then my sophomore year, I ended up moving off campus across the street to Night Circle. As Shane is saying, Night Circle also does have a shuttle that'll take you to campus. The difference between living on campus and off campus, I personally kind of miss living on campus. It was great being able to wake up 5 minutes before class. But it's also great to have your own space in an off-campus apartment.
I lived in Towers. I lived in Tower 3. There's an honors community there, so if that's something you're concerned about, you know, being around like-minded people. It's also where my best friends were at the time, so it really helped facilitate for me, because I was an out-of-state student, so coming here, obviously I knew absolutely no one here, so being around people was really important. And now I live in downtown Orlando, which is not necessarily my choice, but it's happening, so it's okay. I drive just down the 408, 30 minutes, it's 25 on a good day, and it's fine.
I do want to add, they also have living learning communities for first-year students. So I was not one of those students, but I know the Excel Compass program does have a living learning community. So there's certain sections of dorms blocked specifically for students in that program. And you know, in hindsight, I wish I would have done that because it's really nice to be able to be around people that you're going to see all the time, you're in classes with all the time. You know, you can go knock on someone's door and say, hey, you want to go in the common room and study for this exam we have in 2 days. So I think it's really important, especially your first year. And I would say if I was not on campus my first year, I probably would not have gone as involved as I did because it was just so convenient for me, like they were saying, just to walk 10 minutes and be somewhere. And even if I didn't stay, it was like, well, I can just walk 10 minutes back. And, you know, at least I tried it, and it was a really good way to experience, you know, different clubs and different events and, you know, everything that we've been talking about.
And there are a number of living learning communities, of course, honors, lead scholars, Excel Compass is mentioned, nursing has one, and so there are a lot of different interest groups that have these housing opportunities if you want to be blocked house. Okay, I'll take one more question. I'm going to go here. Yes, sir. So the question is about the Excel program, and one of the benefits is smaller class sizes. And so the follow-up to that is how difficult is it to get assistance in some of the larger classes as opposed to some of the smaller classes? And so,
I think there's a great difference. As I said, I spent some time working as a Calc 1 learning assistant, and so I believe the class size was about 200 students, which is pretty big. But I think we had a team of maybe 8 learning assistants, and so the student-to-teacher ratio on its own is 200 to 1. But if you have the 8 students to kind of help disperse that work, it helps a lot. And as LAs, we spent time meeting with students after class on our own time as part of tutoring sessions. There is the Excel Learning Center where you get to go and get tutored by us learning assistants. It's a personal computer lab specifically for Excel and Compass students, I believe. And I think it's really a big difference. And now in my upper level senior classes, I think as you continue to go up each year, your classes kind of shrink a bit. But especially your freshman year, it's really important, I think, having the smaller class sizes and it allows you to form smaller study groups, set you up for success that first year.
I will also say, as part of a smaller class, and I'm sure all the future students in the room can attest to this, you're probably more likely to ask a question in a room of 30 to 40 versus 200. So I think that's a big part of it too. Is you feel, kind of like Lou was just saying, you feel a lot more comfortable to ask those questions, and especially once you get into the Calc 2s and Calc 3s that are a little smaller. You're going to know your professor. Like, they'll know you by name, especially if you go out of your way to just ask them a question before or after class. You go to their office hours, and that's helpful for you, but it also can be double helpful because you're starting to build that network with that person too, which kind of goes in, again, to everything else we've been saying. So it all kind of comes full circle. But I would definitely say I personally liked it a lot better having smaller classes versus my really big lectures outside of the program.
And one thing I always like to clarify is it's smaller classes, not small classes. There are 70,000 students at this institution. So when we talk about 200 students, that's smaller because the regular department calculus 1 is 1,500. So when you say 200, does it sound too small? It actually is, and then we divide down. So I'm gonna take your question if you wanted to, right here in the blue shirt. Yeah. Okay, so the question, and I apologize, we're talking about Excel, but it is one of my favorite things. The question is, with Excel, what were the advantages, or what did you like about being a part of the program?
So, we kind of touched on it a little bit with everything. In hindsight, like I had said earlier, I wish I would have joined the LLC, the Living Learning Community. I loved that I had a tight-knit group of friends in the program. It was definitely easy for me to find friends here within this program versus just kind of being on my own free will with the 70,000 other people that come here every day. We kind of just said it all already. Just reiterating what I had said before, honestly. I had talked about being a mentor. That was a really good opportunity for me. It's kind of what you make of it, honestly. You could be one of those students that says, well, I'm in Excel, I'm going to put it on my resume, or you could be somebody like us up here, who goes out of their way and gets involved in other things and, adds on top of that experience.
And to reinstate the first part of your question, I do recommend joining Excel a lot. The buddies that I made during that orientation period, they were also in Excel. And even some of my senior students or classmates are also in Excel. We all kind of just grew as a group. And I think that's one of the things that Excel promises, and I think that you can take the most advantage of, is transitioning from high school to college. It's a lot smoother in Excel. You kind of have that personal space to grow instead of just being thrown into the fire and figuring your way out.
And I'm going to be fair, and I'm going to say that these things also occur within the Burnett Honors College, Lead Scholars, and some of our other Learn programs and those kinds of things that are smaller learning communities. So we have about 4 minutes, I believe, and I've got one last question that I'm going to let a couple of people hit here. And so when thinking about making the best of your college experience, what advice would you give to incoming students? And so, Kristen, I want to start with you.
I would say just try to put yourself out there and get as many opportunities under your belt as possible, because the amount of growth you're going to have between entering college and leaving college is going to be so much you might not even recognize yourself. Like, when I first entered college, or I guess in high school, I was not a school person. I was not a straight A student. I just kind of was the average student in my school. But when I got to college, I became really motivated to really apply myself, because I told myself, well, I'm here because I choose to be here. I want to be an engineer, so I'm going to be the best engineer I can be. So I tried undergraduate research, internships. I networked with multiple professors to basically help out wherever I could. Like right now, I'm also the Curriculum Oversight and Review Committee student representative, so I basically help with curriculum as well. Just do as many opportunities as you can, because this is the best time to do it. When you start a full-time job, you might not have as many opportunities as you do in college, especially one this large.
Meryl, you want to?
It's okay to not be okay. It's also okay to change your mind. I have changed my major 5 times. I did not come into UCF as an engineering major. I was a biomedical sciences major, then a medical laboratory science major, then a chemistry major, and then materials science, and I switched back to chemistry. You know, it's okay. You're not going to know everything right now. And if that's the path that your life takes you, then you're going to make it work. You know, life always works out. And on my first point, it's okay to not be okay. We have a lovely CAPS service, you know, that will help you with your mental health. I've utilized it many times. It's free. We love free. And, you know, just those resources are invaluable. And again, it's going to be okay. You're going to be fine.
You're talking to the parents here, not the...
Yes, parents, you will be fine. You will be okay. Anyone else? Okay.
My biggest advice is don't be afraid to ask questions and reach out. I sat actually in this exact room, I believe the 3rd week of my first semester, receiving a presentation about some of the awards that UCF has been receiving. And I noticed a professor, and she was a very prestigious professor. She received a lot of awards, and I said, I need to learn who that is. And so I sent an email as a freshman, and I said, hey, I don't know you yet, you don't know me, but I want you to mentor me. And she's the professor who showed me those 2 fellowship opportunities. It's because of her that I spent 3 months in Seattle, Washington. I spent 3 months in California. Don't be afraid to reach out, and also don't be afraid to grow, right? Once the fellowships asked me, where do you want to work? I told them, I mean, I've grown up in Florida all my life. Send me as far away as you can. And they sent me on the West Coast. And it's through that experience, being alone in Seattle for the first time and making new friends, my first internship experience, networking with the professionals there, not being afraid, I guess, being outside of the comfort zone, I think is the best advice that I can give you guys.
And we're thankful that he came back, because, you know, rather be here. Okay, well, I want to say thank you to our students for being here with us this morning. Thank you for all the wonderful questions. We are going to have a short break, about 15 minutes. You are not going anywhere unless you have to. And so the next event here is going to be the industry panel. And so we're going to be switching rooms. We're going upstairs. They're coming downstairs. But we have about 15 minutes here, and we will start promptly at 11:15. Thank you.